My wife and I retired to a quiet countryside home right beside a small lake deep in the woods. It's peaceful out here. Maybe a little too peaceful. We barely have any neighbors. The closest people to us are a middle-aged woman named Penny and her adult son, Chad. They live in a large, quiet house down the road. We'd occasionally see them fishing by the lake, but that was about it. And to be honest, there was always something off about Chad. A few days before Mother's Day, I was sitting on my dock, fishing and thinking about what I could do to make my wife feel special. That's when I saw Chad walking down the road. I waved at him. He waved back. He wasn't carrying any fishing gear, which I found a little strange. As he passed by my dock, he stopped. We started talking casually, nothing unusual at first. I asked him if he had any plans for Mother's Day. He said, "Oh, my mom's going to be spoiled." There was something about the way he said it. It didn't sit right with me. Before leaving, he looked at me and said, "Good luck, but I'm not the one who needs it." That was the last thing he said before walking away. Mother's Day came, and everything at my house felt normal. I made my wife a nice dinner. We had a few drinks out on the dock, watched her favorite movie, and went to bed. It was a good night, but sometime later, I woke up. At my age, that's nothing unusual. As I was heading back to bed, I heard something outside. At first, I thought it might be an animal, but when I looked through the window, it wasn't. It was a man, standing completely still in the dark. And then I realized who it was. It was Chad. He was standing in the exact same spot where we had talked a few days earlier, not moving, just standing there, watching the house. Then suddenly, he looked straight at me, like he knew I was there the whole time. I quickly dropped the curtain and stepped back. My heart was racing. After a few seconds, I slowly looked again, and this time, his face was right up against the window. I shouted and fell back hard onto the floor. For a split second, I thought he was going to break in. Then I heard pounding at the door. Loud, aggressive. I tried to get up, ready to defend myself if I had to. But then my wife rushed in. When we looked outside again, Chad was gone. A few days later, everything changed. The news reported that a burnt-out car had been found near the river, just a couple miles from our home. Inside the car were human remains. The victim was Penny, Chad's mother. My stomach dropped. Everything started to make sense. I went straight to the police and told them everything I saw. Turns out, they were already looking for him. Chad was their main suspect. Later, the truth came out, and it was far worse than anyone imagined. Chad had murdered his own mother on Mother's Day. He kept her body in a freezer for over 24 hours. Then, he cut her into pieces, loaded them into his car, and drove out to the river. And then, he burned the car, with her remains still inside. He was arrested, charged, and eventually sentenced to life in prison. No one ever figured out exactly why he did it, but I don't need an explanation, because I remember the look in his eyes that day, and the way he stood outside my house in the middle of the night. That wasn't grief. That wasn't confusion. That was something else. Something pure evil.